You're stationed at a Roman military camp along the Rhine River, watching an innocent child run between the legionaries in tiny military boots. The soldiers lovingly call him Caligula, Little Boot. You smile at this heartwarming scene, unaware that this adorable child will one day marry his own sister in a public ceremony, force senators to watch as he feeds innocent people to wild animals for entertainment, and declare his horse more intelligent than Rome's greatest minds. Within 20 years, this sweet boy will become history's most sexually depraved ruler, turning the mighty Roman Empire into his personal playground of horror. The transformation from beloved mascot to bloodthirsty monster will reveal just how quickly absolute power can corrupt even the most innocent soul. Merely one of the daily routines of Rome's most depraved and insane emperor. You're living in Rome in 39 Anno Domini, witnessing new scandals every day. Caligula ruled for only 4 years, but these 4 years changed Rome forever. His story isn't just about madness, it's about systematic perversion, incest, and massacres. Records from contemporary historians like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Dio Cassius reveal just how terrifying this emperor truly was. Before diving into these shocking historical truths, if you enjoy learning about history's dark sides, consider hitting the like button and subscribing. And please don't forget to mention which country you're watching from in the comments. Born in 12 Anno Domini, Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, later to be known as Caligula, was the child of Rome's most powerful family. He was the great-nephew of Julius Caesar and was viewed as heir to the throne from birth. His birthplace was Antium, modern-day Anzio, near Rome, and his father, Germanicus, was one of Rome's most beloved generals. The nickname Caligula came from his childhood. While accompanying his father, Germanicus, on military campaigns, soldiers began calling him Caligula, Little Boot, because of his small military boots. This innocent nickname would eventually become a name of terror. Young Caligula was like the legion's mascot and was dearly loved by them. His mother, Agrippina the Elder, was Augustus's granddaughter and one of the most powerful women of her time. The family lived together during military campaigns along the Rhine River. Caligula's childhood was far from normal, spent constantly in war environments among soldiers. The events in Caligula's childhood would provide clues to his future depravity. In 19 Anno Domini, his father Germanicus died mysteriously in Syria. Many suspected he was poisoned on Emperor Tiberius's orders. This event deeply shattered 7-year-old Caligula. According to historian Suetonius, the first strange behaviors began appearing in the child after this death. Young Caligula began having pitch-black nightmares after his father's death. He would scream throughout the night, terrified of seeing blood. Yet, simultaneously, he was curious about seeing blood, writes Suetonius. This contradiction was a harbinger of his future personality. His mother Agrippina was first imprisoned in Rome for allegedly plotting against Tiberius, then exiled to Pandataria Island. Caligula became orphaned along with his siblings and was taken to be raised under Emperor Tiberius. The years spent in Tiberius's palace would nourish the darkness in Caligula's soul. Tiberius was a known pervert. The parties he organized with young men and women at his palace on Capri Island were the talk of Rome. What happened at these parties was so scandalous that a saying, Capri morals, emerged in Rome. From age 18, Caligula grew up in this environment and witnessed all of Tiberius's depravities. Worse still, the old emperor was teaching him these perversions. According to Tacitus's records, young Caligula learned Tiberius's darkest fantasies and developed them further. The old emperor taught him, power means being able to do anything. The years spent on Capri laid the foundations of his sexual depravity. Suetonius's records contain this striking detail. Caligula learned such things on Capri that when he returned to Rome, he was no longer a normal human being. The event that occurred in 37 Anno Domini led to this madman taking control of Rome. In 37 Anno Domini, Emperor Tiberius died. Officially called a natural death, but Suetonius tells a different story. Caligula suffocated the old emperor with a pillow. He was smiling even as Tiberius drew his last breath. This was only the beginning. When 25-year-old Caligula ascended to the throne, the Roman people welcomed him with joy. After Tiberius's cruel and paranoid rule, they wanted a young and charismatic emperor. In the first months, he indeed did good work. He brought back exiled family members, distributed money to the people, organized gladiator games. He distributed the 2.7 billion sestertii that Tiberius had accumulated in the treasury to the people within a year, says Dio Cassius. An event that occurred in early 38 Anno Domini completely changed Caligula. Caligula suffered a severe illness. This disease, probably encephalitis, lasted for days. He wavered between life and death. The Roman people prayed for him, some promising the gods they would sacrifice their own lives. This illness affected his brain. After recovering, he had become someone else. Suetonius writes, "The Caligula before the illness and the one after were completely different people. It was as if the good spirit had died and the evil spirit had survived." His first strange behavior began with his relationship with his sister Drusilla. Caligula had 3 sisters, Agrippina, Drusilla, and Julia Livilla. Suetonius clearly writes, Caligula had sexual relations with all his sisters, but he especially loved Drusilla. This wasn't a perversion that remained private. Caligula made this relationship public. In early 38 Anno Domini, Caligula organized an official marriage ceremony with Drusilla. This was an unprecedented scandal in Roman history. Incest was considered the greatest sin in Rome, but no one dared oppose the emperor. The wedding was held at the palace on Palatine Hill. Caligula began addressing Drusilla as "my wife." He gave her the title Augusta, a title only emperors' wives could use. He declared her a goddess and had temples built in her honor. Suetonius describes this situation. Caligula loved his sister so much that during times of illness, he declared her his heir. The people thought this was just brotherly love, but the truth was very different. The real shock came with Drusilla's death. In June of 38 Anno Domini, Drusilla died mysteriously. She was only 21 years old. Some claimed she was killed for being pregnant. Others said she gave birth to Caligula's child and was therefore assassinated. Caligula's reaction was horrifying. At Drusilla's funeral, he cried out, "My wife is dead. My only love is gone." It was forbidden for men to cry at funerals in Rome, but Caligula didn't care. After Drusilla's death, he declared mourning in Rome. Laughing, bathing, and eating with family were considered crimes. He declared her a goddess and built a temple called Panthea. Drusilla's death completely drove Caligula mad, and from then on, Rome began experiencing a true nightmare. After Drusilla's death, Caligula went completely insane. He now saw himself as a god and demanded everyone worship him. "I am a god and I can do whatever I want," became his motto during this period. His most famous madness was trying to make his horse Incitatus a senator. Incitatus wasn't just any horse. It was Caligula's favorite racing horse, and he treated it like a human. He had a marble stable built for it, gave it golden feed troughs and purple coverings. He even bought it a house on Palatine Hill. According to Suetonius's records, Caligula fed the horse human food, adorned it with precious stones, and planned to make it consul. He hired special servants for the horse and even granted it Roman citizenship. This wasn't just madness, it was a way to humiliate the senators. Caligula openly said, "This horse is more valuable than you. At least it doesn't betray me." Caligula's real goal was to reshape all of Rome according to his perverted fantasies. In 39 Anno Domini, he officially declared himself God. He now demanded to be addressed by the names of Jupiter, Mars, and other gods. He placed his own statues in Rome's temples and demanded people worship him. His most dreadful command was, "I am now a god. I demand everyone worship me as a deity." Those who don't comply with this order will be considered traitors and executed. He had a massive temple built for himself on Palatine Hill. Here, he had his own statue made of gold and demanded daily sacrifices be offered to it. From this point on, Rome transformed into a true terror empire. In 40 Anno Domini, Caligula's systematic massacres began. He was now killing people for entertainment. "Death is a game for me," became his habitual saying. According to Dio Cassius's records, during gladiator games, Caligula would throw innocent people into the arena to entertain himself. These weren't just criminals. They were ordinary citizens, wealthy people, even senators. His most dreadful tradition was the kiss test. Caligula would call someone over, kiss their cheek, then say, "I love you, but you will betray me," and immediately have them executed. No one survived this test. An event recorded by Tacitus shows just how perverted he was. One day, he organized a grand feast at the palace. Among the guests were Rome's most beautiful women. Caligula had everyone watch and announced which of these women he had chosen that night. The husbands of the chosen women were then forced to fight lions in the arena the next day. "You deserve to die for failing to protect your wives," he would say. This wasn't just a show of power. Caligula genuinely took pleasure from this brutality and chose new victims every evening. Caligula's perversion wasn't limited to violence alone. His sexual life was equally twisted. After his sister Drusilla, he also had relations with his other sisters, Agrippina and Julia Livilla. Despite this being the greatest taboo in Rome, Caligula lived this openly. The most shocking event recorded by Suetonius occurred during a family feast at a dinner party organized in 39 Anno Domini. Caligula kissed his sister Agrippina in front of everyone and said, "Tonight I will marry you." The guests were stunned, but no one could speak up. Rome's noblest families had witnessed this scandal. That night he actually organized a marriage ceremony with Agrippina. Suetonius writes, "Caligula dressed his sister like a bride and adorned her with Rome's most valuable jewels. Then he declared her his wife and forced senators to recognize this marriage." This wasn't just one night. Caligula regularly slept with his sisters and felt no need to hide it. Palace servants were forced to witness this situation. The most striking thing was his attempt to have children from these relationships. In Tacitus's secret records, this horrible detail appears. Caligula constantly tried to impregnate his sisters to have a child from one of them. His goal was to raise an heir from his own bloodline. He would claim this child came from divine blood. However, these pregnancies always ended in the early stages. Some believed this was the god's curse. Caligula became very angry about this situation and blamed the doctors. Caligula's sexual appetite wasn't limited to his family. He forcibly brought Rome's most beautiful women to his palace and slept with them in front of their husbands. This situation created great fear among Rome's aristocratic families. The most scandalous was his disruption of married couples' wedding ceremonies. According to Dio Cassius, Caligula would come to wedding ceremonies uninvited and kidnap the bride before the marriage was consummated. While doing this, he would say, "I am your emperor. I do whatever I want." This woman is now mine. The most horrible part was sending these women back after a while, but they were now considered outcasts because they had been with the emperor. Many committed suicide. From 40 Anno Domini onward, Caligula became increasingly paranoid. He thought everyone was plotting against him. This paranoia made him even more brutal. He now suspected even his own shadow. His most dreadful massacre was carried out against his own family. First, he exiled his sister, Julia Livilla. The reason was shocking. "She's too beautiful to me, therefore dangerous. Other men might use her against me," he said. Julia never returned to Rome and died mysteriously in exile. Then it was his uncle Claudius's turn. He constantly humiliated him, slapping him in front of everyone. "You're a stupid cripple. How can you be a member of the Caesar family?" he would address him. Claudius had to pretend to be insane to survive. Even Caligula's closest friends weren't safe. He could execute a friend he dined with one day the next day. The reason was absurd. "I saw you betray me in my dream." Caligula's favorite torture method was slow death. Instead of killing his victims immediately, he preferred to make them suffer for long periods. Suetonius provides this detail. Caligula would order, "Make them feel death." The victims' families were forced to watch, and crying was forbidden. His favorite torture was Roman-style crucifixion. However, unlike normal crucifixion, it was arranged so the victim's death would take days. He would prolong the agony by giving water and food. Another method he enjoyed was the lion feed game. He would throw people into the arena as food for hungry lions and enjoy watching this himself. "I give fresh meat every day so the lions don't get bored," he would joke. The most shocking was his brutality toward children. Caligula would take the children of senators who opposed him hostage. He would send these children to gladiator schools and make them fight adults. "Children pay for their father's sins," he would say. Caligula's madness didn't just destroy human life, but also collapsed Rome's economy. He had spent the 2.7 billion sestertia left by Tiberius within a year. This money could have fed the Roman army for 10 years. The reason for his money running out was incredibly absurd. He had a golden bridge built for himself so he could ride his horse across it. This bridge stretched from Neapolis, Naples, to Puteoli, 4.8 kilometers long. 500 million sestertii were spent on the bridge alone. Suetonius writes, "Caligula rode his horse on this bridge wearing Alexander's armor. His purpose was to show he was greater than Alexander. He spent 2 days riding on the bridge." Another insane project was having a tomb built for himself in Egypt, larger than the pyramids. Thousands of slaves worked on this project, but it couldn't be completed before Caligula's death. What he did when the money ran out was even more shocking. He would call wealthy Romans to his palace and force them to donate their inheritance to the state. Those who refused were immediately executed. "Your money belongs to me anyway. I'm just taking it back," he would say. The most profitable method was the god tax. "You worship me as a god, so pay taxes too," he said, forcibly collecting money from the people. These taxes were so heavy that many families became poor. He also spent fortunes on gladiator games. He could spend 100,000 sestertii on a single day's games. He would buy the most expensive gladiators and lose them in deadly fights. By 41 Anno Domini, everyone was tired of Caligula. Even the Praetorian guards had turned against him. Caligula constantly humiliated them and constantly replaced them because he didn't trust them. The assassination plot was formed by the most unexpected people. The plan's leader was Praetorian guard Marcus Chaerea. Caligula constantly addressed him with the nickname effeminate and humiliated him in front of everyone. "You're not a man, you're like a woman," he would say, making everyone laugh. Chaerea was waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. Among the conspirators were senators Lucius Annius Venetianus and Gaius Cassius, guards, and even palace servants. A total of 60 people were involved in the assassination. Everyone wanted Caligula dead. The plan was very detailed. Caligula's daily routines were studied, and the moment when he was most vulnerable was determined. It was decided to attack during the Palatine Games. On January 24th, 41 Anno Domini, the assassination took place during the Palatine Games. While Caligula was watching a theater performance, Chaerea and other guards approached him. After Chaerea saluted of Caesar, he suddenly drew his sword and shouted, "This is in the name of the Roman people." The first blow hit Caligula's shoulder. The emperor shouted, "What is this? Have you gone mad?" Then other guards joined the attack. He received a total of 30 stab wounds and collapsed in a pool of blood. According to Suetonius, his last words were, "I'm still alive. You can't kill me." But he soon died from blood loss. He was only 28 years old. Caligula's death was greeted with great joy in Rome. People celebrated in the streets. His statues were demolished, and his name was erased from all official documents. His legacy had forever changed Rome. Caligula ruled for only 4 years, but in that time he destroyed Rome's respectability. He shook confidence in the imperial institution. Later emperors learned from his mistakes and were more careful. Historians write about him. Caligula is the most horrible example of how absolute power can turn a person into a monster. He is history's most perverted ruler. The story of Caligula represents one of history's most depraved rulers. His 4-year reign demonstrates the terrifying consequences when power and madness combine. This tale reminds us what can happen when authority goes unchecked and serves as an eternal warning about the corruption of absolute power. The lessons from his tyrannical rule continue to echo through time, teaching future generations about the critical importance of maintaining checks and balances in governance and the devastating effects of unconstrained authority on both rulers and their subjects.